Welcome all to Off the Cuff, and I'm humbled to be in the presence of a person who I've admired and listened to whenever I'm in doubt, and even otherwise. She is the voice of calm and clarity in a world that is drowning in an overflow of anxious voices. And BK Shivani ji is a world renowned spiritual and motivational speaker representing Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization. Om Shanti, sister.
ओम शांति जी बहुत शुक्रिया
Warm welcome to my show.
थैंक यू
वैसे मैं काबिल नहीं हूँ बट कोशिश करूँगी जो माइंड में है टू आस्क यू दोज काइंड्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट
Sure.
ट्रबल मोस्ट ऑफ अस दीज डेज so one thing I saw is that you're going to be talking on a topic called own the present. And what I see is our human mind is always clouded, with our past and our present. And, the anxiety has gotten more after the post COVID. And, we as immigrants are also going through a lot of changes here socially and politically. So, how can we keep it together and how can we have a positive state of mind?
So there are two worlds. One is the outside world and one is the inside world. So the outside world is situations, right? Like you said, political, social. Today, if we see environmental also, there is situations, then professional situations, then family situations, then my own physical health situations. Everything is outer world.
Hmm.
For I, the soul, all this is outer world. And the inner world is thoughts, feelings, emotions, intentions. So we have to be very clear that these are two worlds, the outer world and the inner world. Which out of these two is in my control, right? So is the outer world in my control? No. So now there's a lot of upheaval happening in the outer world. We've lived our life believing that our inner world is dependent on the outer world, which means we said, I'm feeling like this because of. Like we will say, oh, so and thing is happening in the country. Obviously, I'll get stressed. Obviously, I will worry. So when we say, obviously, I will feel like that, I'm saying this inner world is dependent on the outer world. If the outer world goes through an upheaval, I will obviously go through an anxiousness because my inner world is dependent on the outer world. So COVID and then obviously post-COVID, it's all a little lot happening in the outer world.
Yeah.
But during COVID, as a response to the situation in the outer world, we created a lot of fear, worry, anxiety, pain, emotional pain, fear, and stress also because we were not sure professionally what is happening. So, all these emotions, billions of us created collectively all over the five continents at the same time.
Very true.
We just have to visualize what this does. If it happens like in one part of the world and sometime in another part of the world, things always happened on the planet, but it happened in parts. Sometimes it's happening in India, sometimes it's happening in America, sometimes parts, and it's affecting a particular region or some number of people. When we said COVID was the first time the whole world was affected together, what we forgot is COVID was the first time when all of us were creating the same emotions together at the same time. So, 2 years, billions of us created those low vibrational emotions, and we said it's normal to feel like that because it's COVID. So, again, we made the inner world dependent on the outer world. And then, of course, many of us went through the disease. So, a lot of emotional issues attached with that. And many of us lost family members. So, souls left the costume, that was also in pain, families in grief. So you just have to visualize what's the vibration of the planet during those 2 years. And then post COVID, COVID was a closed chapter. We came back into our normal life outside, but this did not come back to normal. Vibrationally, we dipped because we didn't do anything to raise ourselves. We should have worked on raising our vibration during that time, which means strengthening my inner world when the outer world was going through chaos. Had that happened, the outer world would still be chaotic, but the inner world can be stable because it's not dependent on the outer world. It's also my creation. So, post COVID, there were more situations. I was already going through a lower vibrational energy, and my mind was already dependent on the outer world. So it allowed me to go on going down like a spiral, emotionally, vibrationally. And so today there is too much of overthinking, which means the mind doesn't stop thinking. It's just going on. There's too much noise. And of course, add to that all the content consumption that we are doing, which adds to the noise in the mind. So it's like everything put together, which is not healthy for this inner world. And so when you're overthinking, you will not be in the present moment because there are too many thoughts. There are too many thoughts. And they can be thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future. And when that present moment slips away, we wouldn't even know. Even if you think now, what am I thinking? It'll either be of the past or of the present, when or of the future. When you're in the present moment, this is actually going to be silent. It's going to be very silent. I'm just in the now. So that is what is the power of meditation. First step, that the inner world is not dependent on the outer world. So that is the first step of spirituality and Raj Yoga, that I am emotionally independent. So there can be a crisis outside, but I have a choice what to think, how much to think, when not to think about that. So complete control over the inner world. Then you can be calm in a crisis. Then you can be very loveful to yourself, even if someone has been very, very wrong or very, very mean to you. We cannot say it's obvious to get hurt, it's obvious to feel pain, I cannot forgive. It is all this vocabulary which made the inner world very complicated. So that's the need of the hour. Start practicing emotional independence, which means strengthening the inner world. We're not too sure about which direction the outer world is going to be heading, but we can be certain that the inner world will only get stronger and stronger and stronger. And the equation is the inner world creates the outer world. संस्कार से संसार बनता है, संसार से संस्कार नहीं बनते हैं. संकल्प से सृष्टि बनती है, सृष्टि से संकल्प नहीं बनता है. So it is thoughts create our world, our sanskar creates our world. So let's just work on the inner world and we are going to create a very, very beautiful outer world.
Okay, wonderful. Sister Shivani, you talked about emotional, independence. So I think, looking at a podcast where this person was saying that, and especially here, living in the Silicon Valley, and even I see that I have two kids, that we are raising very strong, intellectually strong children, but we are also raising very vulnerable and emotionally weak children. And somehow, I don't know, it's just the way it is right now. When we were growing in the 1970s or 80s mein main to in India, we weren't hurt that quickly, or we weren't that vulnerable. So how can we balance that?
It's as a society, we prioritized only IQ for the last couple of decades. You see, when we were growing, sanskar of the child were very important. They're important now also, but today priorities become only achievement, because that is what the society is calling success. So obviously everybody wants to be successful. So everybody's only focusing on achievement. So focusing on achievement is very important. But while focusing on achievement, to remember that success is a high EQ, not a high IQ. I may have a high IQ, but if I'm stressed, if I'm pained, if I'm vulnerable, I will not be happy. And if I'm not happy, then my chances of my body being healthy are also not very good. Then my ability to create beautiful relationships and have harmony in relationships will also not happen. And then professionally also, I will create issues with people who I work with only because my EQ is low. So then I can call myself an achiever, but not successful. Successful will be if I'm happy always, not happy only when I achieve, happy, healthy, harmony in relationships, and my work. I'm not just excelling, but I am a leader in the sense the one who take not leader just by role and position, leader who is compassionate, leader who takes everyone together, leader who's empathetic. So those qualities will make somebody a successful person. So, the need of the hour, it's good to wake up to the reality that our children are not working on their EQ. But EQ is something that you start working on it and it's going to go high very, very soon. And the beautiful part is all of us can have different IQs, you know, and it's not necessary, however hard I try, I might not be able to take my IQ to the highest that somebody else has. But EQ, everyone can work on their EQ and take it to the highest level. That is the power of every soul. So if we realized, and it's not just our children who are vulnerable, it is first we who are vulnerable, and we are creating that vibration at home and they are absorbing it. So work on your own emotional quotient as a parent. Your vibration will give strength to the child, and one day this child will also be inspired to start working on it.
Yeah, it comes through environment. Definitely, I believe that. So, the first step is change yourself, and only you can change, the others around. I think.
We are now creating a world, we are not now going to create a world which is going to be AI everywhere around us. If
Absolutely.
before we start just becoming, making it completely our world. For example, the mobile or the content that we're consuming today, it didn't just come all of it together to us. It came like gradually on a journey. First we got a simple phone, then smartphone, then platforms, then social media. But while it was all coming into our life,
Mm,
we just got sucked in because nobody taught us that this is addictive. We came to know after we got addicted. Nobody taught us that it is not good for our mental health. We came to know only after our high figures of depression and anxiety and panic attacks. But now use that wisdom. We have created intelligence, but we have to use the wisdom to how to use that intelligence. Otherwise, the EQ will only go lower than what it is right now, which means today, if we are vulnerable, then we'll have to check 2 years later where we stand.
mm.
So before using the intelligence, we have to use the wisdom to how to use that intelligence and also to work on building our EQ on a daily basis so that the intelligence is just a tool, but it doesn't just start overpowering me and my mind.
Yeah, wonderful. And so many, like, the world looks towards India for spiritual knowledge and the knowledge you are giving. Because whatever I've read of the Western philosophers, be it Aristotle or anyone, they look into the outward, the empirical, the experimental, and the individualistic kind of growth in a person, compared to our Vedic scriptures, who say they are based on dharma and karma and atma. So we are the civilization who is asking the world to go inside. But how is it, there are so many naysayers now here, and many are waking up to meditation and like Raj Yoga, and but there are so many naysayers. And uh, my friends, many of them who are like brilliant, they are taking the middle ground, saying we are agnostics. We don't, kind of. So, Usme, how do you, what do you have to say about the naysayers about, this in the West?
See, it's not about where you are.
Okay.
It's about where you are here. Of course, what happens is when we are living with a certain set of people, then what one is saying, what the other one is believing will start influencing the third and the fourth. We just need to check what is my state of mind.
Mm,
Calculate your EQ on your own. There's nobody else who's going to be able to give it to you. So check your ability to respond in every situation. Am I the master of the situation or do I succumb to what the situation is? And the situation need not be a crisis. It can you know, just scenes of the day, something not going my way. Do I react or am I the master of the situation? How am I with people? People are not going to be my way, especially suddenly when our emotional health is getting affected. So the same people who were another type 10 years back will be different today because they're more vulnerable today. So they might react. How am I able to be with them? So check your own EQ. The word spirituality, the word meditation is something that some people want to keep away with it, and they're very proud saying, I'm not spiritual, I'm spiritual. There is nobody who is spiritual, because spiritual just means you're a spirit, you're a soul, you're an energy. If you're trying to say, I'm spiritual, you're saying, I'm not this energy. This is a body. This is a body. This body has a brain, but there is an energy which uses the brain. So the brain is like a computer. Okay, the body is like a robot. So the instruction given by the brain is what the body is doing. Okay, I pick up a glass of water, I walk, I talk. The brain is giving an instruction, the body is executing it, but who is operating the brain? Who is operating the computer? Computer doesn't operate itself. There is somebody who's operating the computer, programmed it, and that programming is then taking care of the robot. That operator of that computer is I. You can call it by any word. You call it I, you call it light, you call it consciousness, you call it soul, spirit, atma, energy, power, any word. But we need to know I am an energy and the body is matter. The body is matter. Even then, if you don't want to accept the words light, consciousness, energy, the mind. Is anybody going to deny that there is a mind? No. Can medical science show it? No. Can a doctor show the mind? No. The doctor can show the brain. Tell them where is the mind in this? They can't show. Why can't they show? Brain is matter. Mind is energy. Mind is energy. But does anybody want to discuss and say whether I have a mind or no? No. Everybody knows there is a mind. So that mind is that energy. That feeling is an energy. And understanding those thoughts and feelings and intentions and working on them and getting them on the right path is called spirituality. That is spirituality. That is why meditation is needed. So there should be nobody who's going to say, I don't want to work on myself. And if anybody is still going to continue saying, I'm not going to work on myself, then if we are here today, next year we will be a little dipped without having any situation happening in our life, but just because of the collective energy of the planet, just because of the collective energy of any country, just because of the vibrations where you're working. So if I'm working in an office where 100 people are stressed, I cannot remain where I am, because that vibration of 100 stressed people affects me and I go a little lower, but I don't realize it, and I go a little lower next year and I don't realize it. So all that I have to do is be with everyone, work with everyone, travel all over the world, do everything, but just keep doing this every day. Just go higher. And if you just keep energizing yourself every day, then you are the radiator of power. Instead of getting influenced by that energy, you're a radiator and transformer of energy. You will have the power to empower your children. You will have the power to empower your spouse. You will have the power to empower your team. And you have the power to radiate that power all over the planet. So it's just a choice on which vibration you want to stand. That is spirituality.
How should I healed myself when someone says something to me which is not right? Because no one else knows me better than me.